SoCal Filipinos presents Athlete Spotlight. Muay Thai fighter Jackie Buntan. Filipina-American striking sensation Jackie Buntan returns to the ring on May 5th for a 3-round strawweight Muay Thai battle against Australia's Diandra Martin. Be there for the sold-out One Fight Night 10, Johnson versus Moraes III, at Colorado's First Bank Center and witness the fierce competitors go head-to-head. Don't miss out on the action. One Fight Night 10 live May 5th at 5 p.m. Pacific, free for Prime Video subscribers in the US and Canada. Don't miss it. Please welcome your host, Janice Villanueva.
Hello and good afternoon. I am Janice and I am today's host for today's Athlete Spotlight. Now, before we get started, I have a few announcements for our SoCal Filipinos community. Now, it is April, and so that means that we are still celebrating Filipino Food Month, which is presented by Island Pacific and in partnership with the Philippine Consulate. So you want to make sure you check out our SoCal Filipinos website, and when you're there, you will find the Filipino Food Month link. Click on that link and you'll find links to all the different counties that are participating in this event, including San Diego, LA, Orange County, Ventura, and Inland Empire. So click on one of those links and it'll take you to a directory of all the different restaurants and dessert spots that are helping us celebrate Filipino Food Month. Now, as we also will be transitioning into May, we have several different events coming up. And so first we have Pista de Mayo Filipino Festival in Long Beach, and that's coming up on Saturday, May 6th at the Jackie Robinson Academy. And then on that same day, for those of you in the Valley, we do have the second annual Valley Asian Cultural Festival and more. And so that's going to be held at the Pierce College. And then also that weekend, super busy weekend for us, we also have Mayfest, where we are celebrating our caregivers, and we know how important they are to our families and our loved ones. And that's going to be on Sunday, May 7th at the Carson Civic Center. So for more information about these events and upcoming events, we want to make sure you check out our SoCal Filipinos events page on our Facebook. You can also find information on our Instagram and of course on our website, which is socalfilipinos.org. All right, with that said, without further ado, let's bring in our special guest, Jackie Buntan. Hi, Jackie. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Of course, we're grateful to have you here and honor us with your presence, as you prepare for your upcoming bout. So before we get started, Jackie, want to just kind of break the ice here and just find out, because it is Filipino Food Month, what is your favorite Filipino food or dish?
So it's definitely daing na bangos. My grandma would always make that from scratch when I was a kid, and it's till this day my absolute favorite dish, and I crave it all the time and I'll eat it whenever.
Oh my goodness, that's awesome. Okay, and then what about desserts? Is there a specific Filipino dessert that you like?
Definitely turon. If you could tell, I like fried foods. Definitely that. My dad and my grandma, they both would always make that ever since I was a kid as well, and my dad will still make it at family parties, so that's definitely my favorite.
Your go-to there. Oh my goodness. And do you have your turon with the jackfruit or no jackfruit?
Definitely with the jackfruit. I think you have to have it with the jackfruit.
Oh, for sure. It wouldn't be turon without it, right? So.
And ice cream too, right? You have to have the ice
Wait, ice cream? Are you talking about like a turon a la mode?
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about it like that, but definitely.
Okay, that's something new. We definitely have to give that a shot for sure. Awesome. All right, Jackie, well, we have you here today because you have an upcoming bout, right? Happening in a few weeks here. And so I want to ask you a couple of questions how did you get started? How did you become an athlete doing Muay Thai and competing? You can let us know about that.
Yeah, so ever since I was a little girl, when I was really young, I was definitely a tomboy. You could always find me outside doing something. I was really into, I'm the youngest out of 3 older sisters. So I was very influenced with whatever they were doing. And at the time, my oldest sister, her and her boyfriend, which is now my brother-in-law, He was really into skateboarding, longboarding, so I of course was influenced by that. And then I started wanting to do a sport. I played soccer here and there, not on like before joining a team. I realized like, okay, this probably isn't for me, and I started leaning into martial arts. And at the time, I mean, even now, the most popular ones for putting your kids in are karate, taekwondo, and just those didn't really interest me. It just didn't really click. My brother-in-law, he was training Muay Thai for hobby, for fitness, and he introduced me to it. And that I was 11 years old at the time, and whatever it was, something just clicked immediately. I was like obsessed. I loved it. I thought everything about it was so cool. And from then and there, I just Googled the closest gym near me, which is Boxing Works, and my coach Brian Popejoy, and I've been with him and been with the gym ever since I started.
Wow. So you were, I mean, obviously, it's like you said, it's been over 10 years now. And so you were already doing soccer, doing all these other things, right? Really in sports. And so getting injured, I mean, how was that in the beginning? Here you are, you're starting off doing the kicks, you're learning how many bruises. I can't imagine how much you bruise, or is that something that you just get used to after a while?
Yeah, you definitely get used to it. I mean, I think it kind of helped the fact that I was always outside doing something, especially with longboarding, skateboarding. I'd get scrapes and bruises, so it wasn't anything super new to me. But, I think my serious injuries from Muay Thai so far has came from training. Nothing too bad in a competition. But yeah, I mean, I think growing up, I just grew up to have tough skin, so that definitely helped.
That's awesome. No, that's great. And so, again, you have this fight, this bout that's coming up, right? And so, how are you preparing for the match? Like, what is your routine, if you will?
Yeah, so my honestly, my routine stays the same even when I don't have a bout lined up, a contract lined up. It's, there's no off seasons in combat sports. You're training. I mean, the good athletes at least, you stay training. I always have Sunday off, but basically in a fight camp, so to say, um, for me, it's basically I train Monday through Saturday, 2 times a day, and those two every other day varies. Some days it's strength and conditioning, and then Muay Thai. The other days it's Muay Thai in the morning, a long run, Muay Thai at night, and I basically just cycle back and forth with that schedule.
Wow, that's exhausting. Well, that's a lot. I mean, you got to do what you got to do to prepare. And so that's amazing. Now, earlier I asked you about your favorite food and dessert. We talked about turon and dang bungos, right? I imagine that can't be what you're eating, as you are preparing for your match.
I know. I wish that's what I could be eating, honestly. But no, my diet when I'm in, preparing for a fight is it's very flexible still. I've been working with a nutritionist ever since I turned pro. So I started working with a nutritionist in 2021, and that was probably one of the best decisions in my professional career because it takes so much of the stress away. Even when I was an amateur, most of the stress wasn't even from training or thinking about the fight. It was making weight, making sure my weight is on track. And when you have someone helping you, guiding you, that just makes all the difference. So right now, the important thing is I eat a lot of carbs. As a combat athlete, carbs are a necessity. So that's never taken out. It's really, I cycle through white rice, of course.
Of course, gotta have
Brown
that white rice, right?
Yeah. So like white rice, brown rice, potatoes, toast, a lot of protein, of course, lean protein, lean turkey, chicken breast, steak sometimes, and veggies and good fats and fruits. So it's really, I'm not, depriving myself of any food. It's just making sure it's clean food and measured out correctly.
So it sounds like a good variety too, actually, right? So,
Yeah.
no, that's awesome. And then, how about tell us? I know you've had a couple different bouts already, right? I think you've definitely had what I think 4 wins, right? So far. And so, out of all the bouts that you've done so far, which one was your most memorable one?
I think my most memorable one will definitely have to be my debut when I fought Wonder Girl in February
Hmm.
2021. And that was for many reasons. It was, of course, the whole world is coming off that weird year of COVID and nothing happening. But even prior to that, going into that fight, I haven't competed in like 2 years. So And I was making my professional debut on One Championship, which is against their front at the time, their front runner girl. And Wonder Girl came off like 2 knockouts, you know? So it was a very, very tall order for me. And, you know, at first it was, of course I said yes, had to, but, you know, throughout that camp, I had a lot of ups and downs, just mentality wise, just really believing in myself that I could do this, like fulfill this big order on a big stage after a layoff after COVID. And I was able to do it, and in a spectacular fashion, really. And I was, you know, I was a memorable moment for me and my team, definitely.
That is awesome. You know, the debut is always, you know, such a big milestone, a huge milestone, you know, in an athlete's career like that. So that's awesome that you did so well on it. And, you know, again, just came out on top, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And I think there are a couple of questions here in the chat. So I want to make sure I cover them. And so there was one about, yes, how many calories do you burn a day when training?
Okay. So I'll break it down, but basically the days I do my strength and conditioning and Muay Thai, which is 3 times a week, on those days I burn about, like, at lowest 2,300 to 2,600 calories. And then the days that I train Muay Thai twice along with my runs, I burn like 3,000 calories. So a lot of work.
It is. Okay. And I know you talked about all the different foods you're eating. When you are burning that many calories, what's your intake then in terms of the amount of calories you are taking in?
So it's always with my nutrition, it's dependent where I'm at in the camp, weight-wise, what I'm starting at. So it'll range from like 1,800 to 1,900 calories. So I'm definitely in a calorie deficit, but I'm fueled enough with enough macros to where I don't feel depleted. I have enough energy and all that, which was, as an amateur, not the case at all. I was doing this all on my own, just out of, you know, just thinking what was right.
Yeah, exactly. No, you're right. And so it's so helpful to have that nutritionist to kind of get you in line on track, right? On what you should be taking in versus not. So, and I imagine even after the fight, there's got to be a transition a little bit in terms of, you know, what you're consuming and so forth. So
Exactly.
all right. Now, being Filipino-American, you know, that's such a great thing that we have athletes such as yourself who are representing the Filipino culture. And so, what does it mean to be a Filipino-American, a Pinay in MMA, Muay Thai?
I think I'm definitely one of, you know, I definitely like to keep humble. I don't want this to sound like I'm boasting or anything, but I definitely think I'm one of the trailblazers in female combat sports as a Filipino American. There's not a lot, especially in Muay Thai, and you know that makes me really proud. Just because even going full throttle with this career, it took a lot for me to even decide to do that, because I had to put the traditional values of my family aside and what they expected out of me growing up here, especially being a first generation American. I had to put all of that aside and pursue this dream. And it means a lot to me. I think the main thing is being able to break stereotypes, being a female, being a Filipino, being a Filipino American, breaking stereotypes and all of that. I think that's the most important, special part for me.
Absolutely, and that's wonderful. It's great that you know that there are kids, right? There are other kids who may be interested in this era, in this type of Muay Thai, and just doing all that. So it's great that there's someone out there, you know, such as yourself, that they can look to, right? That can be their inspiration, if you will. So no, it's great that you're out there doing all these amazing things. And let's see, we've got a question here. What would you say to young girls aspiring to do what you're doing?
I would say to, you know, it's so cliche, but trust your gut. Honestly, that was like the biggest thing for me. I had, you know, starting this at 11 years old, I didn't think I would be professional. I thought it would just be a hobby. Staying consistent throughout the years. Now I'm 25. It wasn't until I was 20 that I realized, like, this is what I love, and I could really see myself being successful at it if I put everything into it. And all it took was me trusting my gut. I had that feeling in my gut, and it a whole year I was ignoring it because I was trying to do what my family wanted for me, right? Which is the case for most people. But I was, you know, at times like that, you have to be selfish. If you really believe in yourself and you have that big hunch and everything just feels right, you just got to go for it.
There you go, kids. I mean, and you're right. I was going to bring that up too. It's amazing that you have parents who are very supportive, right? Because you're right. In our traditional sense, it's you go up to be a nurse, be a
Oh
lawyer,
yeah.
a doctor. This total stereotypes, right, that we're used to. So again, to one have exposure at such a young age, have the family support. I think that's really awesome and amazing. And so, you know, when you did talk to your parents initially, right? And what was their reaction? I mean, were they just like, huh? You want to do what? You know, what was that
Oh,
that
it
first
was
time?
that, and I mean, I'll reiterate, it was my parents' reaction, and again, I'm the youngest of three older sisters, so just imagine
Mhm.
three angry sisters as well on top of your
Oh
on
no.
top of your Filipino mom and dad. So it was really me against the whole family, which is, I love it. Like it was all for good reason. They want the best for me. And like I said, I'm the first gen American born and raised here. So their whole thing, especially with my parents, like, well, exactly like you said, like, what? We just left the Philippines to come here, and you're supposed to
And
be
you go.
in school, in university, just like you said, nursing, whatever, whether it's business, whatever you want to do. You
Mhm.
should not be a quote fighter out of everything. But it probably took, I went to community college for 2 years, and I was at that point where was deciding what major to do to transfer to university or Cal State, and it was just taking me forever. And I was just thinking of majors that relate to Muay Thai, so
Mhm.
dietetics, because nutrition is part of combat sports, and thought, okay, kinesiology, that's similar to
Mhm.
combat sports. And I was like, I just don't see myself doing any of this. My heart wasn't in it, my mind wasn't in it.
Mhm.
And that was where I was like, I'm just gonna listen to this crazy idea. I don't suggest it for everyone. I know schooling's a route for everyone, but I was like, what if I don't continue college and I just go full throttle with this? And I got a lot of backlash and doubt from the family, which is a given. But
Mhm.
it took them maybe like a couple years, and I say couple years just because after I made that decision and disregarding how they felt, I did it anyway. It took
Mhm.
me a couple years to stay consistent and make a name for myself and be successful with it. And that's when they started understanding, like, okay, that she's about this life, like she's staying consistent to it, she's being successful, like she means what she puts out. So they're
That's
definitely
awesome.
my number one fans right now.
You stuck with it, and thank goodness you did. So, because look where you are now. Again, you've
Yeah.
been so super successful in this world of combat fighting, if you will. So, and with that said, do you have a specific person that inspires you? Is there another athlete out there in the industry that you look up towards, or you want to share with us?
Yeah, so, I always say this, and it could sound really corny and cheesy, but it's my teammate, Janet Todd. She's, you
Mhm.
know, a vet in the game, one of the pioneers of female Muay Thai in America at that, or in general, I would say, especially in this era. Um,
Mhm.
and I say that because she's until now, of course, but I started competing at 13 years old, stopped competing at 15 years old because I was in high school. From like
Mhm.
my sophomore to senior year, of course, I was like, I just care about having a social life, friends, boyfriend, all that. So, I was training, but I wasn't taking it seriously. And by the time I graduated high school is when Janet started competing again, and we were training together all the time. And I was like, we're doing the same exact things, and she's out here kicking butt, getting
Mhm.
wins. Like, how come I'm not doing this? So she really lit that fire in my heart to start competing again. And on top of that, her work ethic is unmatched. I like in general, in the gym or even in her day-to-day life, her work ethic is insane, and she's just an all-around great human being. So she's definitely someone I look up to.
That's awesome. That's a great person to be inspired by. So,
Yeah.
let's see. It looks like we have a couple more questions. What was the process like after deciding to go pro? So you've.
Yeah, so for combat sports, whatever sport it is, it's always different. I always trust my coach. I was fortunate enough to have a great coach from the start, Brian Popejoy. I'm with him now.
Mhm.
And like I said, I didn't really think that I would take this thing to a professional level until I was maybe 20 years old. And at
Mhm.
that time, I probably had, I don't remember, maybe close to 25 amateur fights. And, you know, the way our gym was brought up and how Brian brought me up, it's, you got to get everything out of your amateur career before you go into professional career, which I think is the absolute way you have to do it. You know, for me, it was to the point where I started running out of opponents locally and regionally, you know, internationally. I didn't have any opponents left. And it wasn't, you know, I told Brian my intentions, like, hey, I want to be pro, but I knew ultimately I'm going to trust you and your decision on when you think that's the correct time. And for him, it was when I was 22 years old, 21 years old, I can't remember, but that's when he said, okay, like, let's do it. Let's make the jump. And he knew I was ready and I was down. So again, like, if you have a great coach, trust your coach, ask your coach, because you may want to be pro, but the person who knows if you're ready or not are the ones in your corner, your coach at that.
Awesome. All right. And Jackie, thank you so much. You know, we appreciate you being here, sharing some knowledge about who you are, how you got started in this industry, and becoming the athlete that you are today. And now, of course, we're here to also promote your upcoming bout. So, what would you, well, go ahead and turn this over to you. And why don't you invite our viewers to your upcoming event?
Yeah. So my next fight, I'm pretty much a week away. I compete May 5th in Denver, Colorado. It is a sold out show. You know, that's great, but for people who want to go there physically, I'm sorry, it's sold out. But you can also catch it on Amazon Prime Video. I believe the start time is 5 p.m. Friday, May 5th. I'm the first bout of the night. So right when you tune in, you'll get to see me. But
right.
Go ahead, tune in, watch. It's the first U.S. show for one championship. So very big show, very big debut for one.
That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, Jackie. We appreciate you being here. And for those who have tuned in today, we also appreciate you guys being here as well. And then, Jackie, where can we find you? Instagram, your Facebook?
Yeah, I mean, I'm barely on Facebook, but you could definitely find me on Instagram. That's where I'm the most active. Jackie Buntan, JackieBuntan, simple enough. But yeah, you can find me there, follow my journey and all that.
That's awesome. Well, we will all be rooting for you on May 5th. So again, folks, for everyone on joining us today, be sure to check out Jackie's upcoming bout with Diandra Martin from Australia at One Fight Night 10. Again, that's going to be airing live on May 5th at 5 o'clock p.m. Central Pacific time. And if you are a Prime subscriber, you can watch this for free. So don't forget. All right. With that said, thank you so much again, Jackie. Appreciate you. Best of luck. And we'll be reading for you.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me again.
Of course. All right. And thank you, everyone who joined us today for our Athlete Spotlight with Jackie Buntan. Again, make sure you check out her Instagram, Jackie Buntan. And then also be sure to check out SoCal Filipinos website for upcoming interviews and other spotlights that will be happening in the coming weeks here. Thank you so much. And everyone have a great afternoon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.